Alright, so you have a situation. There's not enough money, you have obligations, and serious ones at that. And, in essence, if there is a situation threatening your company, in essence, the company faces the question to be or not to be. Am I right? Yes. Probably you've thought about how to untangle yourselves from this predicament. What are the ideas you've had in regards to that? Where did your attention go when you wanted to handle it? Well, first of all, we plan to economize on expenses as much as possible. Right. We're cutting expenses right now. Right. In order to give the money you save to the bank, right? Yes, that's right. Hence, I have another stable datum for you. Financial management cannot achieve a financial surplus by economy alone. L. Ron Hubbard. In other words, your main focus shouldn't be on economizing, but rather on increasing your income. Of course, you have to be rational in expending money. But the key, the most important datum in the whole subject of financial planning technology is that you plan your income. All of financial planning is subject to the idea that you have to strain the organization. You have to strain the company in order to generate as much income as possible. And that's the exact thing which will ensure that your income is above the outgo, nothing else. Next, what I'm going to talk to you about is excess funds. If we look it up in a dictionary and check the word excess, we will see that it says beyond the necessary. Basically, if the break-even point is all that we need to be able to do our job, then excess funds are above the necessity, right? Well, right. Tell me this. Do you want to create a surplus in your company? I really do. What about you, Dasha? I do. Excellent. As a businessman, everyone wants that. And that basically is that thing called profit. Alright, so in order for you to create excessive funds, you have to do the following. To achieve a surplus, it must be masked as a necessary expenditure. L. Ron Hubbard. The quote had the word masked in it. What does that mean? Well, do you know, for example, how much you pay in taxes? Well, I have an idea. Well, let's suppose that you have proceeds equal to 100,000. Okay. And out of those 100,000, let's say, that you will pay 10.2% to the government, tax department, in company taxes. Your accountant can always count it up for you. How could you mask the expenses in this case? Well, for example, you could say 11% instead of 10.2%. Is this masked money? Based on the end of the year results, will you be able to use this money as surplus funds? Yes, that would be really cool. Do you have any future plans? Actually, we have magnificent plans for sure. And these plans and their implementation, does that cost money? It does. Can you count that as an organization's expenses right now already? Well, you can if it's included. Yes, if it is included. A surplus to be achieved must be made part of what an org thinks it spends. L. Ron Hubbard. There is no other way of forming surplus funds. Economy is aimed at preventing it from spending more than it makes. L. Ron Hubbard. Which means that all of financial planning has to be geared towards that exact thing. When you do everything off the cuff, so to say, the money comes falling down and you approve it right away. This here, that there, and so on. Can you ensure of this principle that you're not going to let the organization pay more? Or, spend more than it's making? No. When can you perceive it or see it? If every day Nikita comes, give me money please. Nina comes, give me money please. The accountant comes, give me money for taxes and for salary. This daily chaotic dealing with money, what does it bring? Usually, you end up spending a whole lot more. Money has to be in circulation in business. The money has to do its job. That's a famous phrase, and sometimes it makes you drop dead, so to say. It would seem that the money in circulation will bring even more money. But let's take a look at another scenario. All throughout the week, people run up to us time and time again and ask for money. And more money. And money yet again. Give it here. Give it here. You dive into the pouch and it's not there. Sure, you have hope that someone will come visit us tomorrow or in a week and so forth, but you have to pay wages now and pay taxes now. Let's just say, but there's no money. What do you do in such a case? Well, we try to sell as soon as possible at low prices. And we take on credit. Yes, I know that. And that's one of the really widespread phenomena. Take credit and plug the holes with it. That's the worst possible ever mistake. Because you see, you owed, who knows, 100,000. And now you owe 100,000 plus 20,000 after taking out the credit. You couldn't think of any stupider idea. But what happens when you're forced to pay something and there is no money? And the client comes to you, and at this moment, this client can do anything with you that he wants. Right. You sell him the product below cost just because you need the money now to pay these urgent bills. That's the way it is. Yes, that happens. No doubt. But keeping busy. Yes. So, here's a question for you. If you had reserves put aside for taxes or, I don't know, a loss compensation fund that would rescue you in case of someone suing you or something of the sort, this money lies here and gets accumulated for salaries or for whatever it may be. Would that give you some confidence in talking to the client? No doubt. You wouldn't give him excessive discounts, right? Because discounts always come out of profit. Always. I want to show you the flow of financial planning. So, let's take a look at the org board. The general manager and his deputies and assistants are the executive council, as you already know. The advisory council, as far as financial planning goes, carries out an advisory function, and it consists of department managers. When employees turn in purchase orders in the form of a CSW, the advisory council looks them over and makes a recommendation about how advisable those expenditures are. The Executive Council creates a financial plan for the upcoming week and furthers it to the Financial Director, who in turn either approves it or sends it back to be perfected. At the end of this demonstration, you saw that the person who makes the financial call in this financial planning procedure is the Financial Director, and that's one person. Here we get our stable datum number 12. An individual is always more sensible than a group. L. Ron Hubbard. Interesting, isn't it? Just imagine trying to divide up this money with 4 of you there. How are you going to split it up? First of all, we're going to allocate money for expansion, of course. For production. Yes. Understood, Dasha. What I want to say is that a group will always make the wrong decision if it makes a collective decision about money. I won't say that it's utterly and irrevocably wrong, but usually money is a subject that ignites much passion around it. And you already know that. Financial management as contained in this policy letter, closely followed, will prevent almost all trouble and org upsets, not just in finance, but in all other areas. L. Ron Hubbard. Did you actually understand what was said here? And in everything else, not only in finances? Which means that the financial lever is the strongest, or the most influential one, so to say, over the considerations of people. What are your employees most motivated by, to be honest? By money. By money, usually. Of course, money is not an end in itself, but it's well known that it's the most clearly understood lever, penalizing or rewarding using the dollar, as you know. That's why I want to point out the fact, once again, that while all this data about finances seems interesting and fascinating, but in reality they will only become useful when you start putting them into practice. And Irina is going to help us with all of that. She will tell you how to calculate the break-even point. She will show you the sequence of financial planning and what the 15 actions of financial planning are. And you will clear up all the fine details and nuances, and I can assure you and promise you that if you do all of that painstakingly, attentively, and persistently, you will handle your situation. And you will have a bright future. Yeah, that's awesome. Hurrah! Alright, I will always be in touch with you if you have a need to reach me. But for now, I wish you luck in working with Irina. I will let her know tomorrow that you're ready to take her on as a financial director. Yeah, he taught us a lot back then. But if it not for Irina, our finance director, who knows how it would have all turned out.